Hi, I'm Richard, and in today's tutorial we'll be building the maze that Bomberman's going to walk around in. So let's get started. Hi and thanks for watching. In today's tutorial, now that we've modelled a few items, I don't think we've finished modelling stuff yet, but let's try and get something that we can visualize and start moving around and get some ideas of what we actually need to do going forward. So what I thought we'd do today is we would look at creating the maze. Now I don't know if we're going to make it look quite as good as this, but I think we can have a damn good stab. They've used a lot more assets here, so we're going to keep it basic for now, but you can get the idea that you could, go to town and create other types of we've created a plinth, haven't we? But we could use other ones, and you could use random ones, and heck, you could do all sorts of things. But for now, let's just get things simple. Let's create a floor, and let's create this wall here. Okay, so we've got ourselves our plinth. If I just unselect Bomberman here, just disable him for a moment, and then go to plinth and just make that enabled. There we go. We've got ourselves a plinth here. So we'll use that as the surrounding areas and sort of in between pieces. I'm going to use regular spacing to start with. That was the original Bomberman style. It looks like, obviously as time's gone on, things have got a little bit more cool and a bit more smart. But for now, let's just create a very, very simple maze that people can walk around. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is get some floor tiles. Now what I did, you may have just seen a few seconds ago, is had a little look on Google, and I rather like this one. It's coming already with 1024 by 1024, which is fine. Possibly a bit big. You could go 512 by 512, but I just typed floor tile texture into Google, and I think I typed hang on, I clicked on textures, all right, and then these guys came up. But you can go to town where you can do some pretty crazy ones if you want to. Heck, you could create your own. So we can bring this one in here. Let's just click on this and do view image, and then we will save image as, and we'll pop over to our Bomberman folder. There it is. And go assets model Bomberman. So we're going to go Bomberman. That's a bit confusing, isn't it? Assets, and then let's go with, we can put it in models, but let's just put it in, let's create a new folder and we'll call it something like images. I'm not sure I love that. Apologies if that's not working for you, but let's go with it for now, and we'll just save that. We'll just, what should we call it? Tile 01 or something like that, right? Tile 01. Okay. And then what we can do now is we'll pop back into Unity as usual. Magic will happen here, I hope. There it is, images is created. Alright, and what we'll do, I think, is we will, under models, in fact maybe I should have done it under models, we'll create a new folder here, which we'll call floor tile. Excuse me, and I think now what we should do is get that floor tile there and copy it into the floor tile folder, and actually delete this images folder. I don't think we need to do that, do we? Okay, so for now let's just do that. Okay, so we've got our floor tile here under models. Yeah, is it a model? I don't know, I'll let you decide. And then we will, in our main view here, we will create, before I do that actually, let's just make absolutely sure all the prefabs are there. So at the moment we've only got the prefab for Bomberman model. Okay, so what we need to do is, so we'll get our, let's just enable plinth. It is enabled. Let's just drag that down, make sure all of the settings are normal there, and we'll just drag that into the prefabs, and then we can delete it from here. And the same goes for the bomb. Let's enable it and just drag that down into the prefabs. Okay, and that means that we can, in theory, delete that lot. Okay, just make sure Bomberman model looks alright. Yeah, he looks okay. I've realised I missed a bit when I was texturing. Can you see? I'll go back and fix that before the next tutorial. Okay, so we've got all of our prefabs there, so we can delete those now. And what we'll do is now under here we'll create a new quad, create 3D object quad, and it's come around at that angle. And I think in order to face up, let's just reset it, and then we'll set this. Is it 90? There we go. 90 is facing up. All right, so 90 is upright. And then what we can very simply do is get our floor tile, and I think actually, so if we just go into here and do create material. We'll just call this floor tile material, shall we? Floor tile material. And then all we need to do for now is just drag that onto the albedo. I'm not going to go to town on this, and then just drag that tile, drag the material onto the quad. And there you go, you've got it. Okay, so you've got a very basic floor tile there. So we're going to create lots of these. Where's my, that was it, sorry. We're going to create lots of these in here. So these will be the floor tiles. Again, you can see they've gone for a variety. Looks like they've gone sort of diagonal, every other tile is green, every other tile is grey. And we could do something like that. We can have a little play around. I think you can be able to work that out pretty soon. Okay, so we've got ourselves a cod, and obviously we'll just rename that to floor tile, so it's something meaningful, and then we'll just drag it into prefabs. Fabulous. So now we've got ourselves a floor tile. We need to find a way to start putting it onto the screen in some sort of logical fashion. We could just grab them and just place them on, so we could just do something like this, and then Control D, pull it across. You see, you get the idea. I think it's going to be one, and you could do that multiple times. What I'd actually like to do is do this in a programmatic way, so that we can adjust the size of the rows and columns as we wish. So for now, we're actually going to get rid of both of them, and we're going to create a new folder under Assets called Scripts. Create a new folder called Scripts, and under Scripts we'll create a C# script. And I think, just to be a little bit thoughtful going forward, but for now let's just call it Maze Creator. Okay, and then we'll press enter and take us into MonoDevelop. Okay, so here we are. So let's think about what we're going to do here to start with. Obviously, we're going to put these tiles down. So we want a number of rows. Public int rows equals. Let's start with 20. Now this might need to be an odd number. We'll have a little think. We'll have a little play with that in a moment, just to see how that's going to work. And we'll also have public int columns equals 16. So based on the way that we're going to do every other tile we're going to put a plinth on, then that may need to be odd, but we'll play around with that in a moment. That's the beauty of this script. Okay, and I think what we'll do as well is we'll say a public game object floor tile. Okay, so that we can drag our floor tile into the script. Excuse me, that's my processor. We can grab that floor tile and put it into that game object there, so we can define which tile to use and chop and change as we wish. So what we're going to need to do in here is create a new game object, create a new empty that's going to contain that script. So we'll call it, as usual, something like Game Manager. And then in our scripts here, we drag Maze Creator in there. Okay. Let's just reset that. I don't know why I need to reset the empty, but there we go. I like to do that. Okay, and you can see that there's no floor tile there. So we'll use this useful tool. We can click the lock thing here, so it doesn't matter where we go now. This will stay here. And if we go under our floor tile, under our prefabs, excuse me, we can get the floor tile and just drag that into the floor tile object there. Okay, we could have done that later, but let's get it done now. Right. So now let's start laying these guys out. Alright, so what we'll do, I think we should be able to do this. I've got my little script here just to make sure I don't make any mistakes. I'm sure I will anyway. But let's give it a go. Right, so we'll go back into here, and we'll in the start method. For now, let's call a method, and in here we'll call a method called create maze. I like to do that sometimes, just so that it's clear. Oh, excuse me, not in the update. We may want to get rid of update later on. Let's just see. But for now, we'll just have create maze void. Create maze. Alright, I won't keep this private or anything. We'll do that. Create maze. Alright, create maze. Alright, and then, excuse me, squiggle. There we go. And we're going to have a number of rows, and we're going to have a number of columns. Now, remember, in Unity, the y-axis, if you like, is the kind of vertical axis to you and I. So we're going to be using the x and the z axes. Alright, so we'll start with the rows. So say for int x equals 0, x is less than rows. Excuse me, x is less than columns, isn't it? Because columns go along the top, if you like. X++. And we'll do the same thing, and we'll say for brackets int z. That's the slightly confusing thing. Equals 0. Z is less than rows. Z++. Okay, so now we can create an array. We can instantiate all of these objects, all of these tile objects, and place them down. Right. So we're just going to say we don't need to store them anywhere, as far as I'm aware. So we'll just say instantiate floor tile, and it's going to be a new vector 3 x, 0, f, z. And then, on terms of position, now you might think you want to do quaternion.identity, but the problem with that, I think, let's try it. Okay, so we've got everything we need here. That's going to create the maze. So I think now we can give that a run straight away. So let's just run this through here. So just click run. Yeah, you can see the problem already, but let's just do that again without maximize on play running. It's done them all. Let's get that decent position. It's done them all facing kind of forwards. All right, and confusingly, if you go that way, you can't see them because of back face culling. Now the reason it's done that is because it's kept the identity. The way I understand it, it hasn't kept the transform identity. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to go back to here and we'll just say rather than quaterntonian.identity, we will say floor tile .transform.rotation. Okay, so the current rotation of the sort of rotation that it is right now. All right. So now if we run this, see these are the sort of things you get for free, because this took me a few minutes to work out in my previous run. There we go. That looks massive to me, but I guess that's because the tiles have got 4 tiles in them, haven't they? Where's my thing here? Let's have a little look. Yeah, see, that's okay. Well, let's see how we go. We can always tweak this later on. Where's Unity gone? There you are. Okay, so it's 16 by what was it? 16 by 20 by 16, but we can always change that. So now we'll close that down, and now what we want to do as well is we want to put some plinths all the way around. Just bring it back to here. These guys here, yeah, blocks in this case. So let's do that next. Let's add a new game object here, and we'll call this public game object wall. Wall, that'll do, won't it? Wall. Okay, and now in our create maze, what we'll do to start with then is we'll put a wall at the. We'll run a row of. Should I call it wall object? Wall object. We'll run a row of wall objects at the along the top, and a load of wall objects along the bottom. So we should just be able to say. We only want to do them in 2 places, don't we? So let's just think about this. So we'll say for int. It's the rows, isn't it? So it's going to be Z. Let me just try something here. I'm going to say for each. All right. If this doesn't make any sense, let me know. Int Z in, and if you think about it, there's only going to be 2 places it's going to be, and that's going to be the 0 and the last row. So let's just try this. So we'll say for int Z in new int 0, comma rows minus 1. Let's just try that, okay? And so that's the 2 places it's going to be in the for loop, okay? And then we can then we do for int x equals. In fact, we can copy this line here, all right? Copy that line there, and then we'll copy the instantiate line as well. Except we won't be doing the transform.rotate. The floor tile will be instantiating the wall object. Like there, and let's just do that as well. Wall object, okay. .transform.rotation. Okay, so what this line here is going to do is it's going to say it's going to return 2 values, 0 and this rows minus 1, I think, and place that number of plinths all along the way. Well, we haven't added them yet, so let's go back to here. And if we look at our game manager now, we've got our new wall object that's not there. Okay. I'll just lock that up, but we've got our plinth here, so we can just drag that in, wall object. Okay, and let's click on play, and that's worked rather well. There is a problem. I can see a problem. Everything's centered around 0 here, so of course that's nicely centered there, and that's gone too low. So I think what we'll probably do for safety is just move the floor tiles down. So I think if I just say here minus 0.5f, let's just see if that moves it down enough. That's nearly there, isn't it? So let's just grab one of these floor tiles. Yeah, I'm clicking on you. Yes, yeah, okay. So I was hoping that would say 0.5f. What am I doing then? Let's just see how much further it needs to go down. It's being a monkey. Why are you being a monkey on me? Are you being a monkey, or are you being it? What? I don't know what's going on, guys. I don't understand why that's not moving. It could be... it could be something as stupid as this. Right, hang on. So if I just unclick that now so we can see it. It could be the mesh collider. I'll bet on it. So if I click on one, not you. Anyone? That one? Oh, give me a break. That one. There we go. That's minus 0.5. So let's just drag that down to the... Probably best off doing something along... That looks almost perfect, doesn't it? Hey? Let's click on you again. Let's try minus 0.75 then. We can play around with this later on, but for now, let's just go with that. Run it again. Okay, I think I like that. I think I like where that's going, and you can see that that's done all the plinths along there. Now, I think the first thing I noticed is they're all touching each other. I'd actually quite like it to be a little gap. I think it's a taste thing. So let's go back to the plinth, and so we'll keep the wide the same, but we'll make that 0.9 and 0.9. Just mucking around here. Okay, like that. Now I like that. I prefer that. Let's just get the camera correct. So let's just pull this in here. In order to get this going. So hang on a minute. Yeah, have I got this right? That looks very long and slim. So let's just get this right now. Let's just change these values. Ah, you can't change the values there, can you? You've got to be careful. You've got to change them here. So let's do 18 by 10. Right, and now press play. Okay. I think somewhere along the line I've gone wrong, haven't I? Oh no, it's right. I've gone for rows first, haven't I? Okay, cool. Yeah, because I've gone. Yeah, hang on. Let's make sure I haven't got myself in a pickle here. So I've said for each in Z. So Z is the rows. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I think I've got that on the right way. Sorry if that's confusing you. Right. So we just need to put some along the top now as well. Let's do that now. We'll do a similar thing, I think. If we just say, but we'll do it around the other way. We'll say for each, no, 4 brackets int z equals 0. Z is less than rows. Z plus plus. And now for the x ones though, we just need something like 1, because remember we don't. No, it's going to be 0, isn't it? So we start at 1, don't we? And it's probably rows minus 1. So we don't need to do the top and bottom rows, do we? Okay, so now then we'll say for each int x in don't do it in wall object, say new int. I'm thinking out loud now. So it's going to be 0 and columns minus 1. Bit of a guess. Then that. Okay, and then the same deal. Let's just see if that's even right. Okay. Let's have a look, see how that looks. Guys, that's worked. Now the only thing is, I just want to make sure that there's one there. There's one there. Now I just want to make sure there's not 2 there, because that would be confusing. So how do I do that? Probably best if I comment you out. And then run it again. I think that's correct, isn't it? That's correct, because then those 2 bits run along there. Yeah, and they don't run anywhere else. Just run down there and down there. Good, I'm happy with that. I'm happy. I don't think anything's overlapping. Excuse me. Okay. So let's do that. Click on it again. Now we'll get that camera working. So I click that. There we go. So let's get an angle that we like the look of. We don't have to go mad here right now. Okay, we want an angle where we can see everything. So let's go with that. Let's go with that angle for now, right? And so when you click on main camera, and then we say game object align with view. Curiously, it has zoomed in too far. So I think, which way around is it? Here we go. We'll just keep pulling that out until we find a size that we like. And maybe just position it on the. I'm going to get confused now, aren't I? On the Y like this. No, not the Y. Change it. Keep that where it is. Just drag that way. That's it. Something like that. Okay. Make it bigger now. There we go. Now, if we stopped it now, all of these would be reset. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this and we're going to click copy component, and we'll keep an eye on that at 51.9. Okay, so we'll stop it. And now if we click on main camera, and we click on this again and say paste component values, I'm hoping now if we press play, we also we need to change that, didn't we? 50. Well, I'm going to make that 52. Should we? Be honest. Honest values. There we go. Okay, so that's what our camera's going to look like, which is great. Right, so now let's put some interspersed, what do you want to call them? Every other column, we'll put some in there. All right, so let's do that now. And I think the way we're going to do this is just have another for loop. So so let me just run this. Let's run this now. So we can see we don't want it in row 0, and we don't want it in row 1. We want to start in row 2, and probably in position 2 as well. So let's just give that a go and see how we go there. So let's start, say, so for brackets int. Then we can go x equals 2. X is less than. Now let's just think about it. I thought I pressed. Okay. X is this is going down this way. So again, it's going to be probably rows minus 2, rows minus 1. Let's try rows minus 1. And we also want to go up in groups of 2. X plus equals 2. All right. And I think we just do the same thing for the z values. For brackets int z equals 2. Sorry, it's columns, isn't it? Columns minus 1. And then for int z equals 2, z is less than rows minus 1. Z plus equals 2. Now, of course, what I hadn't thought about is that we should maybe be thinking about using a different object internally. We can change that. Let's do this. Let's just add that in now. We'll say public wall object, and we'll say public game object. We'll call, I don't know, what do you call them? I don't know. Wall. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to think of the right name here. We'll call it. Let's call it plinth objects. Plinth object. I'm not really happy about that, but for now we'll go with it, and then we can just do this here. Right, I know that's if that's not making any sense. It's just so that we can use something different. I couldn't think of a name for it, so we'll do plinth object, and then it's going to be. We can always change that later on when we work out what it is, okay? And so save that. If we close this down, pop into Game Manager, and for now, in plinth object, we'll also use plinth here. All right, we'll use the same thing. And so let's run it. And there we go. Now that's worked absolutely wonderfully. The only thing is, I was right. We didn't want even numbers for rows and columns. We need odd numbers for rows and columns. So let's just do that. Let's see if we spin it back here. So let's try 17 and 9. Press play. And there we go. I think it needs to be something like 17 and 11, doesn't it? Hang on. Hang on. Get it around the right way. More rows. It needs more rows. That's what it needs. Sorry. So let's try 19 and 9. I think I've got them round the wrong way. I'm not going to sweat it too much now. I'll have a little play around with that. I had a feeling I'd get them round the wrong way. That's a bit better, isn't it? That's a bit better. Alright, we'll go with that for now. Yeah, so we can change the sizes of these. I very much want to change the angle, actually. It's going to be a real pig to... Let's just try one thing. Let's just try going to... not 2D. Orthographic mode. 1 second. Okay, I can't work out quite how to do that right now. I'll work it out shortly, but let's just bring that in now. I quite like that. I'm thinking along the lines of just an angle that everyone can see, or maybe even just a way that perhaps we'll tilt it over time. I quite like the way that looks. Okay, you can see it's very samey, so maybe we should have a think about how we're going to make that a little bit more unique, and let's create a few more objects maybe and make them some sort of random models. But for now, I really like the way that looks. For a phase 1, let's get our Bomberman, pop him in there as well, shall we? So if I just grab Bomberman model here, press play, let's just position him now, Try and work out where he needs to be. If I move that around, I'm going to take a chance and say 0.75. He looks a bit big as well. And I'm also going to make that 1. On the Y, let's try 1. Try 1 for now. No, it's less than 1, isn't it? You can see that. Put him down. And we'll, so we'll do 0.75. And we'll also rotate him. 90. Right, and then what's going to happen is we're going to have to copy those values again. Copy component. Close it down. Paste component values. And then press play. And we've got Bomberman here. Oh yeah, he needs to move across to the right a bit, doesn't he? Look at that, it's a pain. Which way is that? That's not that way. That was 1, so it must be you. Make that 1 as well, shall we? Yeah. Okay, so I'll probably remember that. Just make that 1. Alright, beautiful people. That, I think, is where we're going to leave it today. I like the way our thing is set up. What I might do is I might just create a slightly different colour for this whole for these guys here, and maybe mix and match them. I'll have a little play. Let me come up with some ideas next time. If you're not happy with the lighting, by the way, maybe we can move that around as well. So let's go to directional light, and we can just grab the rotation tool here. Let's have a little think about how we want this light to look. Try and get the angle that we're after. Sometimes what I find is the best thing to do is just to reset it. And then, oh well, it's going to be moving up as well, isn't it? So let's move it up. And then, yeah, see at the minute it's pointing that way, so let's just try and get it pointing in the right direction. You see, and you can play around with this now until you find something that you like. I tend to like the, is it this one? It facing forward, there we go, like that. So let's try something like 60 and 15. Yeah, that looks a bit steep, but we'll go with it for now. Yeah, that's alright. That's alright. You can see what's going on. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. And in the next tutorial, we'll model out some of the little aliens that walk around. And I'll probably have some more, or at least one more model to build so that we can make it look a bit more interesting. Thank you very much for watching as always. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.